This shot is from Niels Feijen, and it's a rolling 45-degree angle shot. And the key is it's got to be a slow rolling shot because you want to get the cue ball to land not too far off the opposite rail. So it's basically just to come off the first rail and touch the second rail. It's hard to get this soft enough on a 7-foot table. I think it's easier to manage the speed on a 9-foot table, but what do I know? That may be the best I can do on this table, 7-footer. We'll see. Change I made that time is I brought my contact point on the cue ball to be just about center ball. Previously, I'd been hitting it a little higher for a rolling shot, which is going to make it roll longer. That was a much softer shot because I used a little downward angle on the stroke, which took a lot more power out of the shot. I used a little outside there. Niels does mention this is a very difficult shot. One of the interesting things that I found about that shot, at least for me shooting it, is it's half about the aim and half about getting a nice roll on the stroke. Not being too fast and being smooth in the stroke delivery. I cut that one too thin, and so I hit less of the object ball, and so it had more roll on the cue ball. These are 45-degree cut angles, and it's about a 30-inch distance to the pocket. You know, what makes it so tough? It's the fact that the stroke is so slow and rolling. I believe this would be a much easier shot if you put a little more natural roll into the stroke, but it's interesting to work. That was pretty, but you still see how much roll I got in it. That object ball didn't come blasting into the pocket. It was pretty much pocket speed. For that one, I tried one of my favorite and interesting strokes, a baby punch and run. It had a little too much punch in it, but I am going to try and work that stroke gear for this shot. So the thing about that baby punch and run shot is it is a little punch into it. And so you saw how I had much more control on the line of the shot, and it went well. I'm going to continue to try to use the baby punch and run and try and drop down the power delivered into that stroke. That time I tried a little bit of inside in that baby punch and run stroke to see what effect that had. I used a little outside there, which is probably why it pushed it away from the pocket. That may be as good as it gets for this shot. On a 7-foot table, I am gonna, next time I'm on a 9-foot table, try the shot out. Well, this is going to be different. I'm going to try a finesse stroke, which it's by term, and it's basically it's a soft under rolling draw stroke where you're basically dampening the amount of roll in the cue ball momentum by hitting low and hitting downward on it. I'm still trying to play around with that finesse type stroke, which at a soft speed is interesting. So that's a problem I've noticed. Trying some different aspect of the stroke. I tend to tighten up on my grip on it, and so I really don't deliver a smooth, loose stroke. Well, I'm going to try something different now. I want to use this stroke I'm going to describe on one of Tor's new draw shots that he had in a recent video on Patreon. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try for just pushing the cue tip about an inch or a half inch through the cue ball. I'm going to try to really minimize just how far that cue tip goes into the cue. Seems to have the effect of making it harder to deliver the stroke through on the right line. All right, now that I've played around with those for a while, I'm going to go back to using the rolling stroke, which is what he described as a stroke to use, and I'll try and use it with a much shorter follow-through. I think that was actually pretty good. I hit it thinner, and so because I hit it thinner, it had more momentum left in the cue ball after contact, but it was still a more temperate amount of roll in the shot. Same thing, I think I overcut that one. All right, enough of this battle. Now I'm going to try to shoot it with a rolling uh, uh, normal stroke. So have the cue ball go across and back and maybe across again. So what I want to work on is aiming to make this shot and letting the cue ball roll across. I think through habit, I've still been shooting this, especially the last few, too slow. So I'm going to try to put a normal stroke on it, although this is still a very large angle aiming problem for me. And I hit it firmer, but I was way too fast in that stroke. Didn't have a good set of steps in the routine, probably because I'm really tired from this work. That time, I did everything I'm supposed to do in my shot routine. And I'll try and do the same thing again on the 10 ball. That's the difference in following everything I'm supposed to do. I'm going to shoot 3 more shots and try and do the same thing. Good mechanics in the stroke routine. And I've changed my approach. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do 5 attempts. So I'm not going to shoot until I make all 5. I'm just going to count my attempts and see how many I make. I'm going to count my shots and see how many I make out of 5 with a good, all the steps in my shot routine. Overcut. All right, first 3 to 5, slight undercut and overcut. Still good wrap up.